so there's a lot of traffic, so we just have to wait for our boat behind us to turn around and go out. So now we're going to do the same. We're going to turn the boat around, and then we'll sail out of Nyhavn. Vi skal nu til at vende båden rundt, og når vi har gjort det, så sejler vi ud af Nyhavn. Jeg kan godt sige noget på dansk, men så kommer jeg til at kunne sige lidt mindre. Men det skal jeg lige høre, om jeg gerne vil.
No, I didn't have time to go to the store. I did, but then I haven't.
Yeah.
Thank you. If you need them back, let me know.
Getur þú marrið fyrir okkur?
Já, það tala á ennsku líka.
Bless you.
Sjáu þið fallegu húsin hérna uppi?
Já.
Það er svo öðru horfa þegar maður komið svona
Þetta er bara svartvítt að það væri þetta alveg eins og húsið í byrjun á leitinni. Manstu hvernig það breyttist í logoið þessi að maður mörg svona blá og svört hús?
Í hverju?
Já, þetta lítur alveg eins og við fáum húsið í miðjunni.
So my name is Jens, and I'm going to be your guide. The captain, her name is Peter. Mit navn er Jette, og jeg skal være guide i næste time. Og vores kaptajn i dag, hun hedder Peter. Before we start, we have to talk about security, so everyone please remain seated on your equipment. It is especially important to remain seated on dock or bridges. Some of them are quite low. We also have one that is very narrow as well. Smoking is not allowed on board, neither normal smoking nor vaping. And finally, should we need it, wear life jackets underneath all your seats. Sikkerhed først og fremmest, så jeg skal bede alle om at blive siddende på turen. Især er det vigtigt, at man bliver siddende under bordene. Vi har nogle gange, der er ret lave, og vi har også nogle, der er meget smal. Og rygning er ikke tilladt, hverken almindelig rygning eller vaping. Og endelig skulle vi få brug for det, så er der redningsveste under jeres sæder. We are now slowly sailing out of Nyhavn, which, despite the name, the new harbor, is actually 350 years old. This area was dug out by soldiers in 1673. På trods af navnet er Nyhavn faktisk lidt nyere end man skulle tro, eller lidt ældre end man skulle tro. Den blev udgravet af soldater i 1673, så området er cirka 350 år gammelt. Here we have our first bridge, the Nyhavn Bridge. It is the lowest on the trip, so important that everyone remains seated. Her har vi Nyhavnsbroen, den laveste bro på turen, så vi skal blive siddende. Thank you very much. And of course, please also keep your hands down as well. If you are tall, you might want to duck a bit. Could you imagine earlier today, the water level was a bit higher? Some people had to lie down in their seats. Now, today, this area is nice and a good place to enjoy yourself. It's full of tourists, such as yourselves, but that wasn't always the case. This was a seedy area of town. This was an area of small murky pubs and prostitution. This was an area where the sailors came to have a good time when they were on shore leave. And because of them, we also had lots of tattoo parlors here before. And I will get back to the subject of tattoo parlors at the end of the trip, so that's a little cliffhanger. I dag er Nyhavn fyldt med turister, men det har ikke altid været sådan. Det har været et anderledes sted dengang. Det har været et sted med små mørke havneknejper og prostitution. Det var her sømændene de kom, når de var på landlov, når de skulle hygge sig lidt. Og så har der også været her rigtig mange tatovørforretninger. Og det kommer vi også tilbage til senere på turen, eller sidst på turen igen. We're now sailing into the harbor, and first on the left-hand side here we have the Playhouse of Copenhagen, which is part of the Royal Theatre. It opened up in 2008 with Shakespeare's play, tragedy, Hamlet. Her til venstre der har vi skuespilhuset, som er en del af Det Kongelige Teater. Det åbnede i 2008 med Hamlet, der jo er skrevet af Shakespeare. På den anden side af skuespilhuset, der har vi Papirøen. Here on the other side, we have the Paper Island, Papirøen. It has this name because there was a time when we had a big warehouse full of paper imported from Finland to be used for newspapers, so hence the name. Den har navnet Papirøen på, fordi det før var stedet, hvor vi havde et stort papirvarelager. We have now built these new apartment buildings, which has been nicknamed the Toblerone houses because of their shape. De har nu bygget de her nye bygninger, og de bliver kaldet for Toblerone-huse på grund af formen på dem. This island, together with 4 other islands, made up the area of Holmen, the area of the Navy. So this whole area here to the right and in front of us was all Navy military area for 300 years, from the 1690s to the 1990s. And all of the 5 islands, they were man-made. Papirøen var sammen med 4 andre øer her til højre og foran os. Det der udgjorde Holmen i 300 år. Så altså området på floden. In the 1990s, the Navy left for other cities in Denmark, better accommodated to the more modern ships, and then this area was opened up to the public. Some old Navy buildings torn down, and some Navy buildings being repurposed for other things. I 1990'erne der flyttede flåden blandt andet til Korsør og Frederikshavn med rigsstationer, og området åbnes op til offentligheden. On one of these old Navy islands in 2005, this building was built. This is the Opera. It is designed by Henning Larsen and it was a gift to the city, also a little bit of a legacy for themselves. It is paid for by the Maersk shipping line. Operaen fra 2005 er betalt som en gave til byen af Mærskfondet, selvfølgelig også lidt som en slags monument over Mærsk, på nogle måder også. Den er tegnet af Henning Larsen, og ligesom skuespilhuset, så er den også en del af Det Kongelige Teater. Like the playhouse we just saw, this is also part of the Royal Theatre. In the summer, when we have these Red Bull diving competitions in Copenhagen, they actually use the roof of the building.
Whoa.
So they build an extra ramp and then they jump out and ramp. Because if they were to jump directly off the roof, they would hit the ground. So we need to build an extra good ramp. Det er taget på operaen, som vi brugte til Red Bull dykkerkonkurrencerne. Man er nødt til at bygge en ekstra rampe ud fra taget, fordi hvis man hopper direkte fra taget, så vil man risikere at ramme bund. Så man skal lige lidt herude. Now, on the right hand side, we have a big grey building complex. Sorry, not building complex, comes later. Big grey building with a chimney on the side. This is a power plant called Amagerbakken. But it's not just a power plant. On the top there's a small cafe and some trees. On the right hand side we have one of the highest climbing walls in Europe. And finally, on the left side that is sloping downwards, we have an artificial ski slope as well. Of course called Copenhagen. Her til højre der har vi en stor grå bygning med en skorsten på siden. Det er forbrændingsanlægget Amagerbakke. Der er ikke kun et forbrændingsanlæg. På toppen er der en lille café. Vi har også en klatrevæg over på bygningen. Og på venstre side, den der går nedad, der har vi også den kunstige skiløjpe Copenhagen. Now, the Navy hasn't left Copenhagen Harbour completely. As you can see here on the right hand side, they still have a small presence here. However, most of the ships you see in here, they are museum ships, so they're no longer on active duty. Flåden har stadig en lille tilstedeværelse her til højre, som I kan se, men de fleste af dem, I kan se her til højre, de er museumsskibe, så de er ikke længere i brug. The green boat on the right hand side is a torpedo boat from the Cold War, and behind that you can see a tall building with a wooden structure on the roof. This is the old mast crane of the 1700s. So this was used by the Navy back then to hoist the masts onto the ships. And it could carry a mast that weighed up to 20 tons. Her til højre der har vi den grønne torpedobåd fra den kolde krig. Bag torpedobåden der er der en høj bygning, som blev brugt i 1700-tallet til at hejse masterne ombord på linjeskib. Det her det er den gamle mastekran. Og den kunne hejse en mast ombord, der vejede op til 20 tons. This ship here at the end is a frigate, Peder Skram, and it was quite unlucky in 1982 because during an exercise it accidentally fired a missile into a summer house area in Zealand. But luckily no one was harmed, and this missile is now known as the Whoopsie missile. Fregatten her forinden, det er Peder Skram, der var så uheldig i 1982 under en øvelse at afføre det såkaldte horsemissil ind i en sommerhusområde på Sjællandsøjet. Det var altså Peder Skram til højre. Now on the right hand side we have this white ship. This is the royal ship of Dannebrog, used by the royal family for the summer trips around the country. It has just been sailing last week actually. It sailed to Aarhus, the second largest city in Denmark. Her har vi kongeskibet Dannebrog, som jo faktisk lige for nylig har været på en lille sommertog til Aarhus, som nu er kommet hjem igen til København. Ahead of us, on the right hand side, we have this grass-covered area with cannons. This is the Navy battery of Sixtus, which is part of the old defense system of Copenhagen that was established in the 16 and 1700s. Foran os til højre, der har vi flådebatteriet Sixtus med de forskellige kanoner. En del af de gamle forsvar i København er blevet etableret i 16 og 1700-tallet. Salutes being fired from this place morning and evening to when the flag is hoisted and lowered. Morgen og aften bliver der affyret signal fra, når flaget bliver hejset og sænket. In the evening it is always going to be at sunset, but in the morning they have reached a consensus. It's always going to be 8 o'clock. Because in the summer the sun gets up at 4:30. And people living nearby, you don't want to be waking up by a cannon. So they're right. Om morgenen er det altid kl. 8, uanset hvilken tid på året det er, hvor det om aftenen altid er ved solnedgang. Og det er jo fordi, at om morgenen, midt på sommeren, så kommer solen op så tidligt som kl. 4:30. Og jeg tænker ikke, at dem, der bor i husgården i dag, har lyst til at blive vækket til det. On the right hand side, we have this island here, Refshaleøen, Foxtail Island. Just 40 years ago, 50 years ago, this was the scene of a very big influential shipyard called Burmeister Main, or BMW for short. But now this area is used for other things, like every year we have a festival here for metal and rock music, which is called Copenhagen. Her til højre, der har vi Refshaleøen, som er der, hvor der før har været det store skibsværft B&B, men hvor der nu er forskellige aktiviteter hen over året. Blandt andet er det herude på Refshaleøen til højre, at vi har den store festival for metal og hård rockmusik, den der hedder Copenhagen. We also have a street food market here in this area, and the black and white striped crane you see there is used for bungee jumping. So sometimes when we sail past, we can actually see the jumping up from it. But I don't think it's jumping today. Her til højre, der har vi en sort og hvidstribet kran. Den bliver brugt her om sommeren til bungee jumps, så nogle gange, når vi sejler forbi, så kan man se folk, der hopper op derude fra. When it first opened, there was a PR stunt where they told people, if you show up and you do the jump naked, you get the trip for free. But too many people showed up. Der var et PR stunt, hvor de sagde til folk, at hvis I gør det, kommer op og laver et hoppet gratis, så får I turen. Nej, hvis I gør det hos hoppet nøgen, så får I turen gratis. Men nu er de nødt til at blive fra første. Now, this lady here ahead of us on the right hand side, of course, is the most famous lady in Copenhagen, the Little Mermaid. She's from 1930 and she was a gift to the city from the Carlsberg Breweries. Her til højre har vi jo den mest kendte dame i Danmark, eller i København. Det er selvfølgelig den lille havn fra 1913, og som er en gave til byen fra Carlsberg Brewery. Unfortunately, she has been a victim of vandalism on several occasions, like she's lost her head twice and her arm once, and also been painted over on several occasions. Den lille havfrue, hun har været udsat for vandalisme af flere omgange, blandt andet har hun mistet hovedet 2 gange, og hun har mistet en arm 1 gang, og så har hun også blevet overhalet med maling flere gange. Also, because of her size, I am sorry to say, the Little Mermaid, she has the dubious honor of once being voted the second most disappointing attraction in Europe. The only one that was slightly more disappointing than her was the statue of a little boy peeing in Brussels. But he's also only about 60 centimeters tall. Den lille havfrue, hun har den tvivlsomme ære engang at være kåret til at være den anden mest skuffende attraktion i København, eller i Europa. Den eneste, der så siger, at skulle have løbet af skuffen, nemlig det er en statue af en så procent. Den er også kun plads til den. On the right, we have the blue grass pavilion that is covering Christmas party center. This is the Magdalene Village. Her har vi en pavillon, eller en lille pavillon med Porto Colorado. It's from the 1950s and replaced an older one that was destroyed during World War II. Pavillon er fra 1950'erne, og den er faldet som tidligere pavillon har blevet indlagt under verden. Here we have a small, very small cruise ship. We have some big cruise ships visiting us as well, but the big ones, they have to be more further out towards North Harbor. There's no room for them here, and they also pollute far too much to the building. Her har vi et mindre, meget lille cruise. Jeg er kun stort for det, som må holde sig helt herinde i havn. Hvis vi holder på nogle store så skal vi være ude og langt vej. Og så med en forhånd. Now, on the right-hand side, we have these two small grey pavilions. It is from these pavilions where the royal family goes on board the royal ship, Dannebrog for the summer trip throughout the country. Her har vi de to små grønne pavilloner. Det er herfra, at kongeskibene går ombord på kongeskib. Så det er altså herfra, at de går ombord på de små figurer. From here they go on board these very small boats, which then sail them out to the village. Also here, this is where we have the Grey complex, the one I accidentally said earlier. This is the Grey building complex, and this is the Maersk headquarters. Maersk is today the second largest shipping company in the world, and they are operating in over 100 countries. Her har vi Mærsks hovedkvarter. Mærsk er i dag det andet største rederi i verden, og nu er i over 100 lande. This particular building has been nicknamed the house with the blue eyes, as you can see because of the windows. Bygningen her til højre er kendt som huset med de blå øjne, selvfølgelig på grund af farven på vinduerne. Next to Maersk, we have these three old warehouses from the 1700s. They are our colonial warehouses. So that means they are also from a time when we took part in the slave trade here in Denmark. Her har vi tre pakhuse på hovedbådtallet. Det er de koloniale pakhuse. Så de er altså fra en tid, hvor vi tog del i slavehandlen. The first one, for instance, it was the West Indian warehouse, so goods came in here from the Danish West Indies in the Caribbean, things like sugar. Det første her er det vestindiske pakhus, så det var for eksempel ting som sukker, der kom ind her fra de dansk vestindiske øer i Caribbean. The Danish West Indies, they were sold after the First World War to the US, and they are now known as the US Virgin Islands. De dansk vestindiske øer blev solgt efter Første Verdenskrig til USA, og de er kendt som de amerikanske øer. Today, these old warehouses have been turned into a museum of cast sculptures and two apartment blocks. I dag er de tre pakhuse nået op til et museum for afstykninger og også to lejlighedskomplekser. Now, from the same time period as these colonial warehouses, we also have the royal residence of Amalienborg Palace, which are the big grey buildings you now see on the right. Her til højre, der har vi den kongelige residens, Amalienborg. It is primarily used by the royal family in the winter, and originally this castle was not built for the royal family. It was built for 4 noble families. That is why it consists of 4 buildings. The royal family moved in 1794 because they had to. They were homeless. Their home up until 1794 had been Christiansborg Palace, but it burned down. So that's when they came here. Kongefamilien har boet her siden 1794, og det har de gjort, fordi at det var det år, at Christiansborg Slot brændte. Og det var jo den, de havde boet indtil da. They liked it so much that they decided to stay, which was a very good call. Christiansborg Palace number 2 burned down later as well. Det var bare godt, at de valgte at blive brune, fordi Christiansborg Slot nummer 2 og it also brændte også med senere. You can also see just before a church behind the palace. That is the Church of Frederick, also known among Danes as the Mountain Church. Den kirke, der er bag i vores slot, det er den, der i folkemunden hedder Maurkirken, men som rent faktisk hedder Frederikskirken. Now, ahead of us on the right hand side, sorry, not on the right hand side, ahead of us, we do have another area which is called Christianshavn. You will always recognize this area by a church tower with a golden staircase on the outside. Now, Christianshavn is named after King Christian IV, who is our most famous king. He lived in the 1600s. He is not most famous because he was a good king, but because he did leave that very solid legacy of a lot of buildings in Copenhagen and beyond. Now, nu sejler over mod Christianshavn og Christianshavns kanal. Bygningen er opkaldt selvfølgelig efter Christian IV, vores mest kendte konge. Ikke fordi han var en god konge, men fordi han jo efterlod en masse bygninger her i København og andre steder. This king was actually responsible for taking Copenhagen from a medieval town into a Renaissance capital. All of his projects, although they were not all finished during his lifetime, but he effectively doubled Copenhagen in size with all of his projects. Christian IV med alle hans projekter, selvom de ikke alle sammen var færdige i hans samtid, så fordoblede han faktisk mere eller mindre Københavns størrelse på daværende tidspunkt. Now, when we sail into the canal shortly, if you see a resemblance to the Dutch capital of Amsterdam inside, it's not a coincidence. The king was very inspired by the Dutch capital, and he also hoped to attract some Dutch merchants to move here, and he wanted them to feel at home. So yeah, don't be surprised if you can see a little bit of a resemblance. Nu sejler vi lige om lidt ind i Christianshavns kanal, og kanalen er ligner måske en lille smule fra Amsterdam. Det er ikke et tilfælde, fordi at kongen på den tidspunkt var meget inspireret af den hollandske hovedstad, og han prøvede faktisk også på at bygge det på den her måde, fordi han prøvede at få nogle hollændere til at flytte op, når hollandske købmænd. I really can't
That's a food place.
Also on the right hand side here you can see another street food market. It is just across from Nyhavn, so a nice place to eat as well. Her har vi Bruns gadekøb, som er lige over for Nyhavn, så endnu et godt sted, man lige kan få en fed mad. Also, this canal, a lot of people live here. This is a residential area, so for a while I will have to stop talking. Nu sejler vi ind i Christianshavns kanal, som er et kæmpestort beboelsesområde, hvilket betyder, at der er en stille zone, så jeg vil ikke lige tale om minutter. Everyone is sitting down, that's perfect, and I'll see you at the next bridge. Vi ses ved næste bro.
Yes,
Do you have a question over here?
Yes. Is that a television mast near that bungee jumping crane?
Might be. I don't know which one it is.
It's sort of right next to it.
Yeah, probably there probably is. I wouldn't be surprised. But it's not one that I've like noticed as much as bungee jump crane because you cannot unsee it when people jump down. And sometimes we actually also, when we are at the bungee jump crane, sometimes we also see people chicken out in the last minute, which I completely understand. You have a question?
How
as well?
deep is the canal?
Oh, if I remember correctly, about 3 or 4 meters.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's all seawater.
It's also
Yeah. Any questions? Everything okay? Any questions?
3 meters. 3 meters is what? 10 meters per 30 feet? That's the one I want to go to. There's people there. Maybe they're just like walking here. Maybe they're just walking here and we'll see them walking. Share with her where? It's like on Messenger, is on Instagram or what? Text? Get it?
On the left hand side, sorry. Here we have the church tower. Here have the Kirketorv.
Quick.
You can always take the metro here to this area so if you want to have a bit more time to admire the church tower. Here ahead of us on the left, we have the metro station. Now the next bridge we're going to sit under is the Child House Bridge. This one is the lowest in this canal, so once again, please remain seated. Den fortsætter så rundt til børnehaven, og bliver den laveste bro i kanalen. Endnu en gang skal jeg bede jer om at blive siddende og holde det. Tak for det.
Þetta er fyrsta lagkauphúsið. Hérna tók ég metrói niður til að fara hingað og kaupa þetta. Hæstan, þessar hausinn, Björgurhausinn.
Taisi olla